A janitor working alone discovered a weathered, nearly disintegrating, leather-bound journal hidden deep inside a cracked stone wall earlier this year. It belonged to Pastor Wilfred Hale, the church's original spiritual head, and its pages were filled with disturbing confessions. One entry read, "I have sealed the chamber. The whispering has stopped, but at night the floor groans. Something isn't asleep. It's waiting." The 1901 entry was even more unsettling because it said, "This woman has not yet been born, but when she enters this sanctuary, the stone will stir." The name Roach scrolled violently on the last page. Whether it was a misspelling, a prophetic, phonetic transcription, or just plain insanity, the resemblance to Chrisean Rock is unmistakable and unsettling. What's even more unsettling is that over the past 30 years, every woman who stood at that altar and claimed to feel a spiritual force later suffered from undiagnosed seizures, vivid dreams of faceless, shadowy figures, and repeated visions of an underground space. Chrisean Rock is she's somehow connected to this prophecy. A wild theory that is currently gaining traction online suggests that her lineage traces back to a Haitian spiritualist who was exiled more than a century ago for invoking forbidden power. If that is true, she may be more than just involved. She may be the key that the ritual she was tied to was whispered to summon something. The church, however, has always buried the evidence and dismissed it as coincidence or hysteria until now, because something has responded to this time. The theory that this exiled spiritualist, whose name is Rosanne Roach Rock, is older than any god mankind has ever named, was the spark that returned the key to a lock sealed by blood centuries ago. Her name was the code, and her presence was the ignition. Then, last night, grainy but real footage surfaced beneath the church's altar, revealing a hidden hatch that was perfectly square, untouched, and never disturbed. When it was pried open, what lay beneath astounded everyone. An ancient slab that was massive and heavy, etched with symbols that have been lost to time, but at its very center, the key and name CHR Rock were carved cleanly and unmistakably, in perfect modern English. Scientists confirmed that the stone itself is over 500 years old, but the inscription appeared to be only a week old. One expert fainted, while another left the site entirely, whispering, "This stone breaks time." The question that now dominates the internet is whether Chrisean was called to this moment, or if her public fall, controversies, and collapse were all part of a larger plan that was well beyond her control. One spiritual researcher concluded that it felt like it was written specifically to bring her back to that altar. And then came the twist. Pastor Elijah Brooks, the man who found the slab, disappeared, and his last words were captured on camera just before the stream cut. "She's not the first, but she will be the last, because whatever her name is, it's no longer sleeping." When the ancient slab was discovered, the church started to change. The sanctuary lights started to surge and flicker with violent bursts at night. The organ played a single melancholy note, and the stone began to emit hetchies. Actual warmth, and paranormal investigators who were initially skeptical arrived with gloves and infrared equipment, confirmed that heat only emanated from the carved name and not from the entire slab. That same week, Chrisean Rock's public unraveling started when she posted and then removed a mysterious Instagram story with a pitch-black screen and her whispering, "I see him in mirrors. It's calling me back." Fans were split on whether it was a teaser or not, but insiders knew she hadn't slept for days. A makeup artist from a podcast recording swore, Chrisean whispered, "There's a humming in my bones like the earth's trying to talk." Soon after, then came the bombshell. A leaked voice note purportedly sent from one church staffer to another surfaced online and spread like wildfire. According to the voice on the recording, they clearly knew she was coming and were ready. With that stone, it wasn't uncovered by accident. It was waiting. All of this pointed to one terrifying truth. Chrisean Rock wasn't just caught in a supernatural event that included sleepwalking, wandering through halls, mumbling in strange, unidentifiable languages, One night, she was captured on surveillance footage, standing motionless, facing a blank wall for 47 minutes, her voice barely audible, repeatedly saying, "Bind it, break me, bury it." The pastor allowed it to happen. What happened next wasn't random. Christians were intentionally drawn in by the live stream, the breakdown, and even the possession as part of a larger plan. This was a betrayal from within. And a new name emerged from leaked internal documents: Reverend Marlowe Kane, a retired elder who covertly funded the church's recent renovations. He had several unpublished sermons with eerie titles, and the vessel must be known as the Roach and the Risen Stone. She will be the Belle Kane allegedly knew about? A Reddit thread linked the dots, pushed for Christian's visit, demanded the live stream, and may have purposefully revealed the stone. Was this not a haunting at all, but a ritual disguised as one? Christian matched the prophecy too precisely. Deciphering markings surrounding the stone, one passage loosely translated as "born of flame and chaos." "She shall speak the name, and the seal shall rise," cross-referencing it with her birth date, birthplace, and family tree, and come to the terrifying realization that every mark matches. Then came new footage from a hidden camera in the choir loft that showed something the live stream never captured inside the sanctuary. 3 church staff approached the stone, stood in prayer. One fell to his knees, and then the impossible happened. According to some, she was born to unseal whatever slept beneath the internet, and then TikTok swarmed the timeline under the hashtag "She is the deal breaker." Others insisted the moment her name echoed off the stone occurred when the stone moved by itself just 2 inches to reveal something pulsing beneath. The video ends without sound or explanation, but since then, the silence has turned into a roar. And the church is now completely closed to the public, media, and live streams. Officials say it is for spiritual purification, but insiders whisper that it is being contained. Now, everyone's attention is on a new child, a Christian's child, who has been seen drawing perfect circles on the hotel floor over the past few nights. The boy has been spotted drawing circles on the floor, exactly like the symbols carved around the ancient stone. The babysitter is terrified and quits on the spot. After the child whispered, "We're going back under," and locked eyes with her, his father, Blueface, filed for urgent legal protection, citing spiritual instability. However, what if the boy isn't in danger? What if everything Christian, the church, and the prophecies are unraveling? Scholars recently decoded a line at the top of the stone that said, "She will rise, and the seal will break with her bones chilling." Does this mean Christian survives, or is she destined to be the sacrifice? When the stone moved, it should have ended everything, but instead it started something worse. The seal cracked, and with it came the sound maintenance crews reported as faint. The same thing was described by everyone who visited: a staircase of blood, a faceless woman waiting below, and a voice whispering, "You let her in. Now she lets me out." Geologists looked into the matter and drilled into the ground, but all they found was a large hollow space. One expert whispered this wasn't made by human hands. The ritual was never meant to contain it. Prophecy analyst Leona Baines made the revelation during a live stream that has been viewed over 13 million times since the incident. She translated more carvings from the stone and revealed a devastating twist. The church's original founders didn't seal the entity. Instead, they just delayed it. The symbols weren't for binding. Rather, they were instructions for a slow release mechanism and the key to triggering it: Chrisean Rock's bloodline. The most terrifying part is that the seal doesn't break all at once. Rather, it fractures in stages, and the next stage starts when the vessel breaks. Meanwhile, Christian has disappeared. Her team has canceled all public appearances, and in complete silence. "I see below, I see before, I see beneath the veil," she muttered blankly. But there was something else. A second name beside hers, Kusari. It's not her son's legal name. It's what he told me his name was. When a nurse asked, Chrisean said, "That's not what I named him. It's what he told me his name was." Then came the leak, a 22-second grainy video from Telegram and the dark web. Chrisean, surrounded by robed figures, dips her hand in a dark bowl, presses it to the stone, and whispers, "Take from me, leave the boy, leave the boy." No timestamp is shown in the feed. But the background stone matches St. Elijah's. The church briefly reopened for prayer before exploding in chaos. With 40 attendees suffering from severe migraines, 9 fainting, and 1 screaming in a forgotten tongue, the video showed a horned silhouette behind the stained glass. But only as her name was spoken did one priest utter the words, "This isn't a sanctuary anymore. It's a doorway and it's opening." The entertainment world is unraveling. Chrisean, sponsors are backing out, and PR teams refuse to comment. But behind then came the final revelation. A drone scan beneath the church revealed a sight. Beyond belief, an ancient door sealed enormously, unnaturally, but the stone before it now cracked, widening and scrolling above it in bright crimson. They all knew, whispering behind closed doors, that this wasn't just a celebrity collapse, but a controlled detonation industry. Insiders suggest Chrisean's fame was not an accident, but a carefully constructed ascent orchestrated by a secretive deity group called the Circle of Atekel, whose oldest base may have been St. Elijah's Church alone, crossing over, and it's been tethered to her since birth. What the world once called a breakdown, a stunt, or a possession has turned into something much more terrifying. Every new leak, every strange broadcast, and every sound from beneath the altar confirms the unthinkable. This isn't her story. The warning online. On the one side, the world has broken, with millions calling for exorcism, healing, or anything else to stop what's happening. On the other side, there is darkness. On one side, #prayer for RISE, with millions calling for exorcism to stop what's happening. But on the other side, she is the gate. Kazera is coming. Worship the stone cult-like movements are emerging, praising her as the mother of rebirth. One viral post read, "This is not evil. It's the next step in her evolution." TikTokers chant. In a panic, celebrities are copying the symbols that her name on YouTube loops. Chrisean was unfollowed by Nicki Minaj, who also tweeted, "Y'all better stop playing with spirits. Batgirl isn't walking alone anymore, Kanye." He responded by tweeting that she was never walking but was being carried. A new picture of Chrisean standing outside the church's ruins appeared on social media with blank hands and eyes. The caption read, "They did it to Jesus too." Not long after, Beyoncé's official fan site went dark and was replaced with the phrase, "Return streaming platforms are pulling her content and record labels are freezing deals." In Baltimore, public health officials and clergy convened in an emergency session today after a 12-year-old girl was hospitalized for scribbling stone symbols on her desk and whispering in tongues. According to her parents, the girl had been watching footage of the altar for hours. The Cybercrime Division has flagged videos of Chrisean's appearance as emotionally hazardous. They are unverified but spreading. Additionally, pastors across the United States are warning congregations not to speak her name. Reports state that a Department of Defense psychological threat unit has been briefed on the case, which is why seismic monitors near St. Elijah's have detected repeated rhythmic pulses from underground that are getting louder and closer to the dot. Late last night, the church caught fire and witnesses. By dawn, however, St. Elijah's had collapsed, but amid the ashes, the stone remained untouched, unburned and still warm, with only one phrase written in impossible handwriting. One Romanian pastor's clip has gone viral, confirming his chilling claim that the name on the stone isn't just a name, but an invocation. Every time it's spoken, the seal weakens, which is the most terrifying development yet. The child is missing, and Chrisean's team insists he's safe. It's hidden for protection, but a leaked hospital record contradicts that. This question is now haunting every headline across the globe. People are unraveling shared dreams, experiencing sudden anxiety spikes, mass faintings, and U.S. news anchors freezing mid-broadcast. Then came the excavation beneath the ashes of St. Elijah's Cruise, who found a second chamber that was never marked in any blueprint, a hewn from bedrock lined. With walls colder than the surface by 12, the air itself pulsing. They brought in spiritual historians and seismic analysts, and what they found wasn't a tomb but a throne room with blackened walls. Candles still warm, a mural painted with blood, a woman giving birth in fire, a horned figure watching a child reach up his non-human hands, and a stone chair draped in ancient cloth at the center. Not the last twist. A circle with 7 parts carved into the wall behind the throne, 6 of which now glowed dimly, and one that is still dark and throbbing. Beneath it, signifying that when the 7th seal breaks, the gate will not open but will collapse, and what lies beyond will become the world.